Hello and welcome to PRSay. This is the official podcast for the Houston chapter of the Public Relations Society of America. And I'm your host, Veronica Sopher. I have the pleasure of introducing you to some of our amazing members here in our Houston chapter of PRSA. And I love that we get to connect and talk shop, but really also get to know folks at the same time. So if you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of PRSA. And if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, drop us some comments because my guest and I love to connect with you. All right, now let's bring on our guest, Dr. Jeff Frey, joining us. So excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what space you're in and what kind of comms you are a master at.
Sure. Yeah. So the more information than you all need to know, but at one point in time, I started my career as a heads down coder. Shove food under the door, don't make eye contact with people. That was me. And
Wow.
you know technical people like that. None of you listening or viewing this are those people for absolute sure. But you work with people like that, and then somebody put me in charge of a few other people, and that was interesting and difficult. But yeah, master's in computer science and around this artificial intelligence stuff. Then got the MBA. And then eventually at some point in time, I did figure out that it was about humans. And
Yeah.
so I went and got a PhD in emotional intelligence.
Oh
And
my
so my
gosh.
my worlds are the intersection in business around the artificial intelligence, the first, my degree and everything else that started with that, and now the emotional intelligence side of things.
Wow. And so how does that become monetized? How does that become
Yeah.
a job that supports what it is we're doing in communication? I think it's kind of obvious, but my guess is there's a lot more to it than just that.
Yeah, so techie jobs, techie stuff that I was doing, people were always looking for that, right? They're looking for the technical side. I went to the people side of things, and as I was doing that, I really had an affinity towards that. I can make eye contact with people now and talk to them and other things, around this EI stuff. But and then when I went to clients and I was asking them, hey, what are some things that you all need in this day and age? And honestly, they're saying, hey, this AI thing is a big deal. And the technology around it is really interesting. But the human aspect of it is even more interesting. And the fact that kind of I know both sides of that fence, I come in and I do things like artificial intelligence, prompt engineering, and data science. And I got all that language and things. But how does a human interact with it? How does these people who are afraid they're going to lose their jobs, how do they deal with it? The change management around it, even teaching technical people how to have some emotional intelligence so they can deal with the users that are using these tools now, because there's this blending of the fact that the idea of the AI models. The innovation there isn't the model itself, it's the fact that they made it available to everybody, and now
Right.
anybody can get in there and start typing and, oh wow, I have access to this. How does that affect a human being? So how do we keep the human side of work human while we still use the tools and the technology?
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. And so how does that um I don't know, shift the way we strategize for marketing campaigns or media pitches? Like, how does that really shape the day to day of a true communications professional?
Yeah, so the day-to-day, I encourage people to think of it as a tool just like other tools that you've used, right?
Mhm.
You don't necessarily go in and hand draw anything anymore when you need an image. You go find it with some tool, and if you do have to custom make something, there's a piece of software that's going to help you do that. Well, AI can do that and do it very targeted to your audience. And so
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah.
can do audience segmentation, lots of research on your audience. You can do sentiment analysis using AI. There's lots of different things that you can do with that. And then what ends up happening is then your images that you're creating can come out specifically targeted towards your audience. So just feel like it's another tool, just utilize it. But folks are the gap between what's happening and how to use it and what people know and how to use it and the day to day is just only widening. So getting
Yeah.
in, using it to a small extent, doing it for some sentiment analysis or um, audience segmentation, things like that in this workflow of, hey, humans are in the work and they're still always going to be in the work. Don't let this AI take over the entire workflow. Use the piece that you can use it for to automate your processes, and then keep your human interjection in there.
And do you feel like there's a group of people, maybe seasoned professionals, that are struggling with it? I assume you're seeing the younger folks who are more native users really utilizing it the way it's designed, but then maybe some of the more seasoned professionals, we're trying to still figure out how this all plays together and
Yeah.
works, you know?
Yeah. I actually, just a twist on what you said.
Hmm.
I think that the individuals who are going in cautiously are doing the right thing. I
Mm,
think the folks who have grown up in it and are using it are actually overusing it.
mm,
So just there's a couple campaigns. I mean, an example of the Coke campaign over
yeah.
the holidays are coming, and we all saw the commercial. It was, hey, this was completely produced by AI and everything, and the reactions to that for a lot of people were, it's soulless, and gone are the days where it's like, I think you're using AI for that. Everybody's using AI for stuff. You don't have to
Right.
worry about that anymore. What it is did that connect with people? So
Mm,
such an emotionally charged thing that happened, like the holidays are coming by the Coke commercial, right? Such
right.
emotionally
Right.
charged, has a lot of emotion in it, and they want to feel human connection to it. So your kind of segmentation of, hey, there's folks who are not sure how to use it and they're using it a small amount, like, great, keep that up, like dip your toe in the water, use it a little bit. For the folks that are grinding it out and saying, I'm going to use AI for everything, look, I don't have much work to do. Look at me, I was doing something. It's too much. It's
Yeah.
literally too much. You need to
Yeah.
get your humanity back into that
Right.
PR campaign. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. You have to get your community back into that PR campaign, because I think too there's value in sitting inside of an emotion when you're trying to
Mm,
craft a strategy. And I haven't seen any tools that can do that other than a real human. You can just sit inside of that emotion and
yeah.
get into your ideal client or your target audience or your avatar, whatever it is that your business calls it. And so how do you encourage professionals to balance all of that out from a ethical perspective?
Yeah, ethics. I mean, strategy, relationship building, um, sitting inside the emotions, and all that. That's definitely the human side. And you
Mhm.
can ask bots, hey, what should I do here or there? But they're not doing that. The ethical side, whether we should be doing this or not with certain things. I have a series in Psychology Today called. Basically ethical manipulation, and
Mm.
we're all manipulating. I mean, you and I talking to these folks that are out here, I'm making hand motions and I'm talking about certain things because I want folks to like me and I want them to think I'm knowledgeable and I know things. So I'm ethically manipulating the audience right now into believing that I know what I'm talking about, and I do actually know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So where does that cross the line when you can now use technology to really research down to your target audience, so much so that now you know all kinds of stuff about them, and so you can craft this campaign that exactly has words that they would use and that would feel. Those tools are great to be able to do that, and they're just that, they're just tools. So the human side of being able to say, hey, where does the balance happen? Because some people will think, you pegged me. Actually, you pegged me too much. This really feels weird. Like, you know me too well. And this
Mhm.
is creepy. And
Mhm.
as a human where that feeling is, and AI is not going to know where that is. It's just going to go off and go, this is your exact thing you should say to that person. Yeah, it actually is, if I wanted to be creepy and I wanted
Right.
to do so.
Right.
So let me as a human figure out exactly what I should be saying.
Yeah. That's a great I love that analogy. I think it really puts a visual as you were talking about it. It's like when you ask your kids, "Hey, does this outfit look okay to me? Do I look taller?" Well, let me tell you what you really look like. It's like,
Yeah, right. Do I want to hear the truth or do I want to
right,
hear? Yeah,
right. And so I love that analogy because I think it's that helps a lot of us understand how we pull teams together and how we are using what teams are bringing to the table to find a solution, right? Because everyone's version of that line is a little to the left or a little to the right or a little more north or a little more
Yeah.
south.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a great analogy. What books, tips, strategies, podcasts, what should folks in our profession be reading right now to stay current on what's happening?
Yeah, to be honest, it changes so quickly. It's really rough. It really is. I tell folks, I used to say, every 3 years go buy a new computer. And then it was like every 6 months I have to rework all the software packages. We're down to 6 weeks. A new model comes out. We have to test it and then figure out, is that something that client would want to use? The fact that you want to use the old model, a different model, or that model. It's rough. So having a person that's in your network that continues to look at these things and tap into them. There's newsletters on LinkedIn. There's people that are actually tracking these things. That's kind of how there's the books are out of date. There's some research studies that are just getting published. There was a really interesting research study a couple of weeks ago. It was published, and there's multi ones like this, so you can search it yourself if you need this as fodder for somebody. There was AI content developed. There was content for learning for college students, content developed by a human, delivered by AI, content developed by a human, delivered by a human, content developed by AI, delivered by AI,
Wow.
and content created by AI, delivered by a human.
Uh-huh.
The most retention, the most learning, and the most retention happened with AI created content and human delivered content.
Mm.
So the AI created, here's what you need to know, and the human delivered that to the students, and the students retained and learned more from that than if any other combination of those two things. That kind of research that comes out weekly, monthly, and there's probably 5 studies out there like that now. Having that in your back pocket, being able to search it, find it, and having that in your back pocket to be able to say, hey, look, my job's still valuable. Hey, look, we need to put the human aspect back into this, and et cetera, et cetera. Those kinds of things, keeping up with that, having someone in your network that does that, subscribing to a newsletter that's of your, there's a lot out there. So kind of your personality that you like to read, that you will listen to or watch. Things like this, obviously, will
Yeah.
keep you in the know, right? So it's these quick hits, these folks that are on the front lines that are doing something and publish something today that I think you keep track of.
Yeah, no, that's really great. And I'm assuming you put a lot of this on your social media platforms, or that you share it or can share it. How would one of our members connect with you to just get your top couple of recommendations?
Yeah, search me on LinkedIn, Jeff Frey. Obviously, I'm around. You can find me. I'm sure you're going to post some info about that. And then I've got a company, Vital Competence, that I do this through. But again, you can find me on LinkedIn for those types of things. There's some other platforms that are happening that are starting to support this. I got asked to do a TED Talk in Miami in April, and it's on the integration of emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and those types of things are happening now, and you start to see that pop up. So to have a platform like TEDx go, hey, this is an important subject. We want to create some programming around this. You'll see a lot of that stuff pop up, and I have a lot of those things that I push out to folks that know me, and especially to clients and things.
Oh, excellent. Jeff, it's been so great chatting with you. I loved the conversation, really intrigued me. And I just appreciate your time and your expertise. And I look forward to visiting with you in person.
Yeah, love talking about that anytime. If anybody's out there and just wants to chat about it at some point, let me know.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
All right, take care.
All right, that wraps up this episode of PRSay. Make sure you connect with Jeff. His contact information is in the show notes. And don't forget to hit subscribe. We want you to catch every episode of PRSay. Stay connected to your Houston chapter members. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, be sure to drop some comments, and Jeff and I will get back to you. With that, we're going to wrap up this episode, and we'll see you next time.